Hello, I'm Ann Gritch, and I'm delighted to welcome you to this segment of the oral history of the Diocese of San Jose. And with us today is Father Thuc. Father Thuc is the pastor of Queen of Apostles Parish in San Jose. I have known him since he was a seminarian, so I'm just delighted to have you here, Father.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background. You were born in Vietnam?
Yes, and thank you so much for inviting me here to this section. Yes, I was born in Vietnam back then in the family of 12 children.
Oh my.
So my parents have 12. I'm toward the end, 10 out of 12. So you can see that we have fun.
And many nieces and nephews, I'm sure.
To date, my parents have 23 nephews and nieces. 10 great-grandchildren. No, 23 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren for my parents.
Wow, so you have 23 nieces and nephews.
Correct.
My goodness.
Yep.
So you went to school in Vietnam?
I went to school in Vietnam, matter of fact, communist schools in Vietnam, all the way finishing high school. And then at that time, my family decided to go out, and so we arrived to the U.S.
You came directly to the U.S.?
I came directly to the U.S. In 1992, along with my parents.
Wow, you were fortunate, huh?
Yep, very fortunate that one of my brothers escaped by boat and came here earlier. And he became the U.S. citizen, and in turn, he sponsored us. So,
Great. Well, thank heavens.
Yep.
Definitely.
We are blessed.
Yes. So when you arrived in the U.S., was it in California?
Yes, we arrived in California, in the Bay Area, in Sunnyvale. That's where we landed.
All
in
right.
Sunnyvale since then.
All right. So then did you continue school, or what happened when you arrived?
Well, when I arrived, because I arrived as a legal resident, so my brother told me and the other siblings, go to school, because we could not work at that time, only legal residents.
Okay.
So I went to Mission College and start learning English and then start from there.
Well, your English is wonderful, so they did a good job at Mission College.
Thank you, thank you.
And then tell me your vocation story. How did you wind up at St. Patrick's Seminary? Because that's when I first met you.
That's right. To begin with, I did not want to become a priest at all. Even my parents told me, my high school friends told me, my pastor told me, yeah, you can be a priest. I said, nope. I don't want to be a priest at all. Not until I came to this country in 1992. I could not speak English, could not eat, especially pizza or drink milk, you know. So at that time, it's kind of starting point for me to think about what happened, what can I do. So in hindsight, I remember what my parents told me, encouraged me. So I started praying and go from there. So then 1995, I started started thinking about coming into seminary. Believe it or not, we live in Sunnyvale, but I started with the Diocese of Las Vegas.
Why?
Why? Ding, ding. No. No. Back then, the Diocese of Las Vegas was split off from the Diocese of Reno.
Exactly.
So,
it used to be Reno, Las Vegas.
And a friend of mine, a priest, told me about it. So I said, well, here I am. Try it. So I started with the Diocese of Las Vegas. And then when I was in St. Patrick's Seminary, finishing the second year of theology, I was about to do the pastoral year in Las Vegas. But then that's a time to think about, my family's here, my friends here in the Bay Area. So I asked the bishop over there to allow me to come back to the Bay Area. And he agreed. Okay. So that's when I came to this Diocese of San Jose to do my pastoral year to begin with.
So this would have been what?
In the year 2001.
Okay, so Bishop PJ was already here.
Correct. Right. Bishop PJ already here. And at that time, that year, my mom passed away in June 2001. And then I began the pastoral year in September 2001. And I'm very happy to have Father Bob Leger, pastor at St. John the Baptist in Milpitas, who accepted me.
Was he a good supervisor?
He was amazing, very pastoral, very considerate, given given the fact that I just changed from the Diocese of Las Vegas to San Jose, number one. Number two, my mom passed away, passed away in the last few months. So he was so wonderful and in checking with me, asking me how's things doing, how am I feeling. So he's
So you had a
wonderful.
good pastoral year, because that becomes very important in terms of the formation, don't you think?
Absolutely, the first step
Yeah.
in the diocese, and also to continue with the formation in St. Patrick's.
What did you learn during your pastoral year?
You know what I learned in the pastoral year? There's different ministries in the parish, including schools. So I know that Father Bob often go to school and visiting the principal and check it out. So I noticed that, and I've learned, that's one of the things I've learned during the pastoral year, that especially with the school, parish school, go out and then hang around with them. It's important as well.
It really is.
And of course, with the different ministries in the parish. And then Father Bob introduced me into different ministries, even financial counsel. So
All right.
he invited
So
me.
you had a well-rounded education. that
Yeah, finance
year.
counsel and the pastoral counsel as well. So
That is great. That's wonderful. So what I'm hearing is that pastoral year did have some influence just in terms of your own ministry later on.
oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's the beginning in the parish, in the diocese.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot in that year.
Now, backing up a little bit, when you arrived here in Sunnyvale, which parish did your family go to?
St. Martin
St.
in
Martin,
Sunnyvale.
Sunnyvale.
That's
Okay.
our home parish.
All right. Now, is that Father Frank?
Father Mending.
Oh, Father Ben Manning.
Ben Mending, Father
Yes.
Ben Mending.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, he's the one who signed off the paper for me to recommend me to go to seminary as
All
well.
right. Well, good for him.
Yes.
Father Thuc, did you know much about the history of the Diocese of San Jose?
Be honest, I do not know much about.
You're like many of our younger priests. One
Yes.
of the reasons we're doing this is so that people will get a sense of our history, and our history goes up to the present.
Yes.
You know, so
Right.
So you were ordained in 2004.
That's right.
2004, and your first assignment was
My first assignment was St. Mary's Los Gatos.
Ah.
And Father Justin
Zawadski.
Zawadski
Okay.
was my first pastor.
All right. Was he a mentor also?
He was a mentor, and he taught me how to cook
Oh,
to survive.
good. I am a big believer that priests need
Yeah.
to know how to cook. The days of the rectory cook are gone.
Yeah, he told me, you are the cook, you cook for yourself. If you like it, you eat it. If you don't like it, put it aside and try again.
Good advice.
Yes.
So what was it like that first year? Because St. Mary's Los Gatos is a different experience, I'm sure, from St. John the Baptist.
It's different.
Although there was a school.
The school, the same, the school. It's different in terms of the environment in which, is English. St. John the Baptist English as well, but at the same time there's a Tagalog. There's Asian, Vietnamese, Spanish over there as well. But even though there's no such ministry, but at least people around. So my first month in St. Mary Los Gatos, a few days after I arrived, the pastor told me, "You're on your own." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm taking off." How long? A month.
I've just been waiting for you to get here so I could go.
That's right. So I was in the office by myself. One day, a finance person came to me with a stack of paper and told me, "Do the reconciliation." So I said, "What is the reconciliation?" In the seminary I've learned there's a sacrament of reconciliation. What do I do with the reconciliation with the bunch of paper here?
That's great.
No idea.
That is a great story.
So the next day, I brought the whole stack back to her and said, "I do not understand what you mean." What do you mean reconciliation? So she kind of told me, "Oh, you have to check and see." I said, "You know what? Be honest with you, I do not know."
You're on your own.
So I gave it back, and eventually Father Justin returned after the month. I told him that story, and he said, "You just kind of check and see if matching and things like that."
That is wonderful. And I'm sure you're not the only young priest who ran into situations like that.
Well, I know the side of reconciliation.
Sure, exactly, exactly. Well, you know, one of the really great blessings of our church has been and continues to be our ethnic communities. I mean, I think Bishop PJ is absolutely right when he talks about the mosaic. And if you take a piece out, the picture's off. How is it for you, being a priest who's Vietnamese in a diocese where there's many Vietnamese, a large Vietnamese community, but also other ethnic groups along with the Anglos? So I'm just wondering how that is.
Yes, I am a Vietnamese. I've learned things here in English. So I'm just go between. As a priest, I've learned in English, so terminology is in English. So at time when I speak in Vietnamese, there are some I still struggle with to translate into Vietnamese, not only to translate into Vietnamese, but also whether they are the usual daily saying or not. So that's one challenge.
I can imagine.
On the other hand, I continue to work with my English to improve it, and because I believe in the communication, whether in Vietnamese or in English. So yet I'm a Vietnamese priest, but still English is a priority for me to continue to improve. At the same time, get to know the Vietnamese terminology in the daily uses as well.
I can imagine.
Yep.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, I'm just thinking the parishes where you've been, there are Vietnamese, but they're not Vietnamese parishes.
Correct.
Now, do you have Vietnamese at Queen of Apostles? Are there Vietnamese
there are
in the
Vietnamese
assembly?
people. There are few Vietnamese people, but there's no Vietnamese ministry per se.
So everything is in English? And
Everything's
it's
in
parish.
English. Correct.
Yeah.
Everything in English.
All right. And that's working.
And that's working. That is an opportunity for me to continue to improve my English per se, you know, because I believe that English is a common language to communicate as well.
That's true. Now, you were named pastor of St. Lawrence in 2009. So
Correct.
you'd been priest 5 years and then were named pastor. And if I remember, hadn't you been parochial vicar at the same time when you were named pastor?
Yes, I was there the first 2 years as parochial vicar with Father Andy Ligot. And then after that,
He went on to the diocesan tribunal and you became the pastor.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I was asked to be the pastor at that time over there.
And that's a very big parish.
It is.
It's a complicated parish.
It is. And because I already there for the first 2 years, so when I was asked to be a pastor, I say no. Not once, but 3 times.
3 times.
So
But they wore you down.
finally they put me down, and then I said, okay, I already say no, so not once, but 3 times. So now yes.
What were some of the challenges? Because there were 3 schools, right?
Basically there are 2 schools, one elementary middle school, one principal, and the other is high school, the academy, another principal. So along with those 2 schools, there's the parish.
Right.
So I often refer it as the Trinity, you know, one God, 3 persons. There are 3
3 entities.
entities. Yeah, it's very challenging. It's a blessing to have all these, you know. It's big. You will not get boring or dull. But at the same time, it's big and admissibly, that's the most challenging that I, first time pastor.
I can imagine.
The administrative work is.
Now, did you have, 1 or 2 parochial vicars?
Just one.
And was he new? Or
He, at that time, he was new as well, newly ordained, Father Ernesto Osi.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So,
who is now the pastor?
and now he's returned and pastor over there as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's What did you learn from St. Lawrence that you could take with you to Queen of Apostles, besides some experience just not being the new kid?
2 things I took with me from, I've learned from St. Lawrence and took with me to Queen of Apostles. Number 1, listen. listen to people, listen to my staff. So that's listen. And along with that, listen in prayer as well. So that's number one. The number two is consolation, not consolation, consulting. Consulting. So after listening, the next thing is consulting. If I need to consult with anybody, you know, in the parish with staff or the chancery, whoever I need to consult, I need to consult. So those two things I've learned in any matter. Listen to the person in front of me first, and then reflect upon it and see if I need to consult with anybody else before I can make any decision.
That's great. That's wonderful. Two wonderful qualities. What are the challenges at Queen of Apostles? Are they different from St. Lawrence?
You know, every place I've been in, this is my third, every place is different. There's no same. So it's not the same. It's only one language there.
That's nice.
It's nice. Everything's in one language. It's very nice. There's different ministries that you're involved in. There's schools as well.
Yeah, every place you've been has had a school. Huh?
Correct.
Yeah.
So far. There's schools also. So every place is different. There's different people, different groups. But again, only one Lord, one baptism.
Right.
So one faith.
One faith.
And that holds us together.
Absolutely. What's your favorite part of being a priest?
Being a priest or being a pastor?
Let's say being a priest.
Being a priest.
Because sometimes as a pastor, you don't get too much chance to be a priest.
Correct. Being a priest, my most favorite part is to be with people at different part of their journey, you know, in the family, baptism, as an infant, you know, with the family, confirmation. It's surrounded about the sacraments, baptism, confirmation with teens, you know.
First reconciliation.
Of course, first reconciliation, and then first communion, wedding, funeral. Those moments very critical for family, and I'm privileged to be with them there. Again, listen to their story and journey with them to comfort them as well. So that's my most favorite part, being a priest, to journey with family, with people.
Yeah. Do you get much chance to do that? I'm just thinking, in terms of being a pastor, there is so much administrative stuff, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wish we could get to the point where every parish would have a parish administrator and a pastor.
And be honest with you, Anne, I'm not happy being a pastor.
I can imagine.
I'm not enjoying it.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Because of the administration and the meetings and reconciling financial statements.
Yes. Well, I might say I will go to reconciliation as well. It's different.
Different. What do you see as the strengths of our diocese?
The strength of our diocese I see so far is collaboration. That we, together with the bishop, we collaborate with him and among our priests, our staff, our laity. We collaborate to do ministry in your own circumstance. So I believe that's the strength of our diocese, to collaborate together in your own.
And that has been, just historically, we've had two bishops who are very collaborative, who believe in lay ministry, who also love their priests, but have modeled that kind of collaboration. When you think that Bishop PJ has several lay people as his masters of ceremonies, I mean, that's rather unusual.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. What do you see as our challenges, especially looking into the future?
Well, build upon the strength there, collaboration, I can see the challenge is to communicate, the communication part. As we live our life, we communicate to each other. And I can see that at times as a challenge. Because back to my thing, language, English. So yes, communication, but the language we use is very critical to convey the message as well. So,
Sure.
So
Yeah.
communication can be at times can be a challenge.
Challenge. Yeah. 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 Also, I'm wondering now, at Queen of Apostles, would you have among your parishioners people who were in the whole tech field, computer types, engineers, that kind of?
I do not know. I do
they're-
not know whether they are in tech computer thing or not.
I was just thinking when you were talking about communications that we have such a variety of people in our diocese. We have the whole high-tech people. You know, we have those who are in education, because we have the universities here. You know, we have those who are newly arrived. You know, when you were mentioning communications, I thought, yes, he's right. That is a challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything else we should be talking about? I'm having a good time.
I have a good time as well in sharing with you all I can think of at the moment.
Well, I'm very grateful to you for taking the time and giving us just your insights, your experience, and your wonderful stories.
Thank you, and I'm very happy to be part of our diocese.
I'm glad you're part of our diocese too. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.